I know I look quite well, but I often feel quite well, but actually my body is failing. My kidneys have virtually given up, and I have virtually not eaten anything for 6 weeks now because of the nausea, and I'm not drinking very much, and my blood pressure's very high, and you know, I can feel my body closing down, and I know it doesn't really square, but it's just what's happening to me now. And you know, how do I feel about dying? Well, I don't really know what's going to happen. I know that there's lots of stories about it and what people say, but I don't know anything. I just know that I'm going towards the unknown, and you know, I'm sort of ready. Last night I woke up with a really fast pounding heart, and I lay still and I said, okay, Great Spirit, if it's my time now, I'm ready. And I suppose all these things are just preparing me to go. I don't know what it'll be like. One comfort is that at least all the stories are very positive. And you know, you don't get people coming back from death saying, oh, you know, or reporting back from death saying, oh my God, I never want to do that again, or whatever. So I reckon it's going to be probably a feeling of peace and ease. Actually, no, I do know, because I've done some internal inquiry about it. I sense that there'll be a feeling of flow and ease and oneness and peace. So I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. It's the next great adventure. I've invited Lilliana here to make this recording with me because I wanted to just talk about what's happening for me and the lead up to my death, and the details of what's happening so far. Partly for my children, I think it's really important that they're not left with any too many questions about this process, and partly because when I was 3 my mother died, and I spent most of my life really trying to find out why that happened, and I think it would have helped a lot if I'd been helped to grieve and to understand what was going on. So, and also because I just think it's quite interesting to document one person's journey to the other side. So I think it'd be quite fun to see what's going on for me. And when I track it back to where it began, I actually think I probably was living with death for most of my life, which isn't a bad thing, really, because death is such a great teacher, and it helps us to be more comfortable with spirit, really, and because that's where we're all going anyway. But I think it also meant that when I first got cancer 3 years ago, through the grief of what was happening in the world, or what I thought was happening in the world, I don't think I really recovered from that cancer the first time. Actually, not just, it wasn't the cancer I didn't recover from. I don't think I recovered from all the onslaught of all the drugs I took, and the real attack on my body from medicine. And I don't think I really fully healed my projections and the grief that I felt. So when it came back, in February this year with a brain tumour. I was quite shocked, but also I started to accept my imminent death. I'm not sure this is really making any sense, but as time has gone on, I've come to realise that although people say I should be developing a will to live and fighting for my life in some way, I don't have any sense that that would be appropriate. And I just think this whole idea about the will to live is a bit of a myth in a way, because if I haven't really been that attached to this world as attached as some people, for instance, and so it's about attachments. This is all sounding very abstract, but what seemed to happen starting in February this year was I lost the ability to read. I lost the ability to go on the computer and read, and communication is a big part of my life, and it's a big part of what I was doing with the transition. And so it was just taken away from me. I didn't realise till a couple of months later that that was actually a brain tumour. I just thought, oh, well, that's the universe saying, stop doing this. So, I shut down all my email and, web connections and just went inward a bit. And then I was told it was a brain tumour, and I went through the operation to have it removed. And after that I thought, well, actually, I'll cut loose from the world anyway, of all my concerns about, and all my projections about what's happening in the world, and my upset about, the really chronic decline of nature. And I thought, right, well, I'll just focus on what I love, which is my family, my community, my allotments, the food, music. There's so much to love and appreciate in my life. But the strange thing was, soon after that, I was told that the cancer had spread by then. I became very nauseous at the smell of human bodies, including my beloved's, the smell of flowers, and the smell of food, especially garlic and all the things I love most. And it meant that all those things that I thought I would be enjoying, they were taken away from me. And in fact, I felt very nauseous. And so I was sort of forced to become detached from those things too. And this whole process seems to be one of detachment, but not necessarily from my conscious mind. I just becoming detached from the things I love. And in a way, given that I'm so young and so alive actually too, and given that how much I love life and how sweet life is, perhaps that is a necessary part of my process. Perhaps I wouldn't have let go willingly. So I feel that my inner, or my higher mind, is taking me on this journey. Taking me on a journey to the unknown, and I'm not absolutely convinced I'm going to die, but it is looking very likely. And the only place to go with that scenario is acceptance. So being a pragmatic person as I am, I've just come to really accept it. And actually there's a real freedom in that. There's a real, I wouldn't call it joy, but freedom definitely from attachments, and almost like a permission to move on. And despite, you know, the great sadness of the people around me in saying goodbye, it's a very personal journey, and it's my own journey. It's almost like my sat-nav has been has been set, and I'm on my way. And you know, the whole idea of, in that context of fighting for life, or, you know, developing a will to live, it's just not relevant actually. And so I'm not giving up. There's no way that this is about giving up or anything like that. It's just how it is. It's happening to me. I don't know why it's happening with me so young. It's a question I'm still asking. But I feel it's possible that my soul has done everything it wanted or needed to do in this life. I've achieved huge amounts, and I know, you know, and I've had great satisfaction, obviously, great satisfaction from every part of my life. As children, you know, my marriage, okay, I'm going to list it. My fantastic marriage to Dirk, which has taken a lot of work, and a lot of love, and a lot of sweetness, and I'm so proud of my children, who are, I just love watching them grow up with trust. I've trusted them, I've trusted their process, and I still totally trust the process of their lives, and I know that they are going to be able to cope with this. And you know, all the lovely sweet things that I've been doing, working with bees most recently, natural beekeeping, working with a transition group, setting up a school, all the other projects I've done, all the lovely people I've worked with, all the arguments I've had, you know, all the so just all the argy-bargy of life has been amazing. And I personally feel, although I have a wonderful spiritual practice of Subud, which is really helping me let go now. I mean, God, that is, talk about preparing for death, that's really done it. Doing it for me was just letting go. You know, and I don't think life is about transcending these issues. I think life is about being wholehearted, really wholehearted, and integrating all the stuff. I'm not going to do too much homespun philosophy, but I think my philosophy has been just really jump in the deep end and really, you know, risk all the pain and the joy, and just risk everything, because it's just been great. And what was I going to say? And the other thing that's really helped me is Psychology of Vision, and Jeff Allen, who's been an angel to me, talking me through all this and helping me see that ultimately we're all heading towards oneness, and that so much of what I've worked to heal is just really a story, just a story that we made up and that we lived, and that, you know, now I see on one level it's all true, and on another level it's just a story, and it's time to go beyond that story, and I'm ready, you know. And maybe that's the other reason why I'm finding it hard to stay, or let's say I'm ready to go, because I see that this is where we're all heading anyways, towards oneness, so I haven't found a way to see how I could do that in this life. I know that people do, these enlightened beings. I think perhaps just it's not for me this time. So, does that make sense?
It's wonderful. Is there anything you feel you haven't said?
I think I have any regrets, I would say I have no regrets in terms of my relationships. In fact, there's very, very few people that I want to make amends with. There's very little I haven't done which I haven't done. There's very little I've wanted to be which I haven't been. I think the only thing I would do more if I had more life would be to probably laugh more. And I would really spend more time in the wild, actually. I would swim in the sea, I would swim naked in the rivers, I would lie in the woods even more than I have. I would really connect with deep nature, because for me that is the source of spirit. That's the source of great mystery. That and our relationship. One thing I've really noticed is incredible amounts of support and love coming our way, not just to me but to my family. I mean, just beautiful prayer circles and messages and just support from people, some of whom I hardly know, my neighbours. It's just really been touching, and I think what it's teaching me is that we pass through life with lots of small acts of kindness and recognition and connection, and it's often the really small things that people remember. I've had messages back about things that have really affected people's lives, just little comments or encouragement or whatever, and I realise now that love is just this amazing sort of network of love that we're creating as humans. It's really hard to describe it without sounding cheesy, but it's sort of like connection. And there's that lovely song, people are saying how do you do, but really they're saying I love you. And that's really how it is. And I feel so supported through that, and my whole family does, and I know that that's going to be there forever, and that means a lot, actually. Well, my connection with Great Spirit and with all beings is something which I would like to explore more, which I think I have done in past lives. I've had quite a strong taste of being native, and I think, obviously we've all been native for much, much longer than we've been civilized, and I really look forward to a time when we really deeply connect with that side of ourselves, reconnect. When I first got cancer, I had a conversation with one of my ancestors, and he told me to develop a level of trust that goes beyond life and death and beyond time. And I did. And that's really helping me with this process. So, aho mitakuyasan.